He says, welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy. Only he didn't use frickin'.
That wise guy Witt helped make Guardians of the Galaxy a big money franchise with a sharp commercial appeal. The first two movies earned a cool $1.6 billion US, and much of the credit goes to writer-director James Gunn. It was his idea to exploit a 70s playlist. And Gunn's humorous touch broadened the genre's appeal.
Star-Lord.
Who?
Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw.
But Disney Studios stopped laughing when Gunn's old tweets resurfaced on the net, poking fun at rape and pedophilia. He was fired from the planned sequel. But then the cast released a letter calling for his reinstatement, noting that personal redemption is a theme of the franchise. Disney, though, shows no sign of budging. All right, let's talk about this. We're joined by Sarah Bosveld, senior writer at Chatelaine Magazine, Donovan Bennett, a digital host and writer at Sportsnet, and Ashani Nath is acting senior editor at Flair Magazine. Welcome to all of you.
Thanks for having us.
Did Disney do the right thing?
I think so. And although I have empathy for Mr. Gunn, I don't really have that much sympathy. These are things that happened a while ago, but he was still in his 40s when he did it. I mean, you're going to be director of Guardians of the Galaxy. You can't guard your own Twitter timeline. This is my thing. I applaud the loyalty by the cast, but Disney's loyalty as a publicly traded company is to their shareholders and their potential customers. And given that, I don't think they had much of a choice.
So one way to look at this story is he joked about pedophilia, you know, he joked about rape. Those things obviously aren't joking matters. But do you think he should have been essentially fired?
Well, I think this whole problem here is that cancel culture, like the idea of just like swiping someone aside, banishing them for something that maybe has been exhumed from their past, that is not necessarily something where they're hurting someone. And I'm not going to excuse these jokes. Pedophilia and rape are not funny, as you pointed out. But to just judge them by something that has been raised from a long time ago in the modern context, when he has apologized, I think is quite a rash move. And the reason I bring up cancel culture is because I think that's what Disney is responding to. Disney is sort of saying here, you know, look, there is no trial, you know, there's no investigation, you know, and actually there are a lot of men who maybe have some quite legitimate claims against them in the Me Too movement, where a lot of companies have been like, oh, maybe let's just keep him around because he's worth a lot of money. So I do think it's an interesting move, as Donovan pointed out, but to me it speaks to a much more problematic, you know, theme that's come up in our culture, and Disney's responding to that because I guess maybe they interpret that shareholders are worried, you know, and they don't want, you know, things that could be seen as problematic optically to be, you know, out there.
It is incredible, though, how these things become just this tsunami, right?
Yeah.
So somebody brings attention to something, there's this huge wave of usually social media, and then some kind of action by a company. Do you think it unfolded the way it should have?
I mean, whether it unfolded the way it should have, I'm not sure. But I do think that Disney can't go back now. They've made this decision, and they have to stick by it, whether the cast is on board or not. I think that we're in this moment where people are being held accountable for what they said, and that is powerful. So I don't think we're at that stage where we're getting that nuance. I think we're still in the growing pains of that, but I think it's an important time right now, and this is what if this is what has to happen, this is what has to happen. And I think it's important that we do say things like rape and pedophilia are not funny, and we need to push for better comedy and smarter comedy.
Mm-hmm. So there's accountability, and then I wonder if you get to a line of intolerance, and what about a word that the cast used, redemption? Should there be some room here? And does it matter to the three of you that the cast has weighed in here? You feel it doesn't?
To me, actually, I think Disney needed to be stuck in because the cast weighed in, because it sets a precedent if they were to capitulate to that cast that, well, our decisions don't matter, your feelings matter. And
maybe it's not capitulate. Maybe it's listening. Maybe it's saying, okay, you know what? I respect what you guys have to say.
But it opens up a Pandora's box then, right? Yeah. Because if you're going to listen on this, are you going to listen on Roseanne Barr? Are you going to listen on Kevin Spacey? Where do you draw that line? And that's why I think they're saying our brand, Disney, is a family brand. What you did was not a family expression, and so we need to protect our brand.
Donovan, but like, so here, it's not the same as the Roseanne thing. So Roseanne, in real time, in 2017, I think it was last year, early this year, made some racist comments in real time, in this moment that we're in. This is stuff from James Gunn that was exhumed from a decade ago, and he has apologized, and he hasn't taken them down, which I think is kind of an issue here.
Questionable.
And, I do think, that's a problem too, but they're different things.
But
here's why they're the same, though. If people don't watch because of them, they're the same. So the nuance is, James Gunn, you're not working on this project, you may work again. Roseanne Barr's probably not going to work again. That's where the nuance is. But they're the same because the public and their income is saying that they're the same.
Quick last word on this topic to Shani.
I think that this is an important conversation, and I think it brings up what is the next stage of where do we want this conversation to go. Cancel culture is happening, but there needs to be nuance, and I think that's the main takeaway here.
All right. Well, a main takeaway of television is about segues, and now let's do a segue from superheroes to super chicken sandwiches.
We get great feedback from our customers in the United States, not only about great tasting food, but also the service and the environment. And so we want to bring that same Chick-fil-A experience into Toronto and into Canada because we believe that's what customers will value.
So that is part of a promotional video, the president of Chick-fil-A talking about expansion plans into Canada. What makes this complicated, more than just a fast food story, is the company's political views, a conservative Christian mission. They're very clear about that, publicly opposing, for example, same-sex marriage. So some Canadians are calling for a boycott of this, or saying to people, you need to step up and take some action here. But it opens the door to this question. When is a chicken sandwich just a chicken sandwich? Do you think that Canadians should think twice before they go here, depending on their political views?
I'm going to speak for myself in this case.
Sure.
I think you are what you eat. There are so many places to get a chicken sandwich. I have heard very good things about Chick-fil-A's food. I have heard terrible things that I cannot stand by in terms of where they're giving their money. So I don't think a sandwich can be just a sandwich. I think you are what you eat.
I think
that's a very interesting look.
We're getting very philosophical here, I think. But I think that the power of someone's dollar is always, in this capitalist society, one of the biggest powers that they have. And I think consumers really should go by their moral and ethical compass on that. But I'm thinking most people will not. I really think that this conversation, people get excited about their American food chains. They get excited about tasty chicken sandwiches. And I just think people are not tuned into this, and they will not necessarily care. But there really has been interesting momentum behind the boycott Chick-fil-A movement. And I think, I wonder if that will give anyone pause before they walk in the door,
We were looking up some numbers. It is the 8th biggest fast food chain in the United States based on sales. And quick service restaurants magazine, I guess, predicts that it's going to be in 3rd, only behind McDonald's and Starbucks. So people love it. What if you were with a bunch of friends in Toronto in a couple of years when they open up here, and they said they wanted to go, some of your friends said they wanted to go to get the chicken, other friends said, I refuse to go based on my political views. How would you respond to that?
Oh, how hungry am I in this scenario?
And you're starving.
Yeah, I do perpetuate the stereotype. I love me some chicken, but I will say that I probably wouldn't be comfortable eating there, and it has nothing to do with their religious beliefs. If you're make a great sandwich and you're a Scientologist, I will eat it. but how crass their comments have been. It's not that they're just a political organization. They've been open about telling other people how they should live their lives and saying, I'm going to take money from people and I'm going to apply it in a way that is not going to benefit all people. From that standpoint, whether it's a Chick-fil-A or what we've seen, a company like Starbucks, who's had great goodwill because they've given their employees, full benefits, and bad goodwill because they've had people who look like me not allowed to just sit in the restaurants. I think it works both ways. And you mentioned it. We have agency, right? I learned in school taxation without representation. The only agency we have is the decisions we make every day. So that's not a decision I'd be comfortable with making. All
right. So let's change gears here for our final topic. And let's talk about a guy who started at the CBC and is now a broadcast legend. And talking, I'm sure you were answering the question who we're talking about here, Alex Trebek, who hinted he might be leaving the show when his contract is up.
What are the odds that you will stay after 2020 right now?
50-50 and a little less.
All right, in a tribute to Alex Trebek, who's still hosting Jeopardy, by the way, we are going to ask a Jeopardy-style question, and let's put it up on the board here. The category is famous Canadian game show host, and the answer is this Canadian city has the most freshwater lakes of any municipality in the country. It's also home to the 4th largest francophone community outside Quebec and the birthplace of Jeopardy host Alex Trebek. Okay, yes.
Oh, wait. What is Sudbury, Ontario?
Very good.
Where is? Where's my grammar?
What is, yeah.
Yes. So is that daily double? Like, do I win a jackpot or is...
So for the few of you who don't know what's going on here in Jeopardy, you answer questions by doing it in the style of a question. So many of us, have you watched Jeopardy?
I have.
Yeah, like it spans generations, right? We've all watched it. We have just less than a minute, so really quick answer. Does it matter to you who the next host of Jeopardy is?
Yeah, because I don't think it will be successful without Trebek. He's part of the institution, so they're going to have to get it right.
Okay, last word on what's going to happen to Jeopardy?
Absolutely, it matters, but I think there's a chance to revive it for a new generation that potentially doesn't have cable and is interested in new, fresh faces and voices.
Wait a second, a generation that doesn't have cable? This is very scary to me. And your view on Trebek or what's going to happen next to Jeopardy?
Well, he has some really interesting ideas for the next host. He thinks the LA Kings announcer, play-by-play guy, would be a good decision, which is funny to me. But I also am skeptical he's actually going to retire, too, because in 2014, he was asked the same question. He was like, will you retire in 2016? And he's like, 50-50 chance. He basically said the same thing. So I'm just going to put on like my skeptics hat here. Maybe he'll be the new host of HQ, which is that sort of digital, real-time game show. Like maybe they can bring it into the digital age that way. So, you know, they should evolve, as Shawnee said.
Okay, fun note to end on. Thanks to all three of you.
Thanks for having us.
My pleasure.